Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 14 of the Giro d'Italia 2024, brought to you by Bicycle, the largest global marketplace for pre-owned bikes. With over 20,000 high-quality pre-owned and refurbished bikes available, Bicycle connects the buyers and sellers to make the process of buying and selling safe, easy, and convenient. If you're selling a bike, remember to use the code ButterflyEffect24 for 0% seller fee. Now let's get into today's stage 14 individual time trial at 31 kilometers. It's going to be a good course because it's mainly flat. They do leave the ramp. It gets a little technical when they leave the ramp with a little bit of climbing up through the narrow town there. Then they're going to exit onto county roads. That's a little lumpy and bumpy, not quite exactly flat. Still some more climbing going up, but one-lane roads. Then it comes into a flat section. We come into the finish, and there's a bunch of chicanes all the way into a right bend. That'll take the riders into the finish with about 200 meters to go. You know when you went to bed last night who the two favorites are. I can't make it up here on the Butterfly Effect. Of course, it's Ganna from Ineos, and then it's Tadej Pogačar. But when you look at the top list of 10 favorites, 5 of those guys are Ineos listed in there. You got the American Magnus Sheffield listed with Filippo Ganna. You got our Ensman listed in there. You got Tobias Foss listed. Geraint Thomas is in there. They got a host of talent on Ineos that are listed in the top 10 favorites. When you look outside those 5 guys, though, Tadej Pogačar, of course, is on there. Bjerg is on there. Affini's on there. And then we see the Colombian rider that went solid in the first individual time trial. That's Danny Martinez, and he's sitting second on the general classification. Him and Geraint Thomas are going to have to battle out today to see who can play around with the top 3 podium spots here when we go into the general classification for the first climbing stages on tomorrow's stage 15. But when the cameras come on, we're going to see Dan Uhl from Lidl Trek up there. He's getting himself in the hot seat with the fastest time. You can see Dan Uhl pulled in a bunch of power on the pedals there to get himself into the hot seat. But then we start seeing Affini. Affini's coming through fast at the finish line. He's got a time 9 seconds faster than the time of Dan Uhl. Then we're going to start seeing the next riders as the time starts coming up because it's Tobias Foss. Tobias Foss, Ineos rider, he's one of the 5th guys there. He's going flying into the finish, and he's got a time of 4 seconds faster than Affini. Now I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, okay, I know he's one of the top 5 out of the 10 favorites right here for Ineos, but I don't understand why they ran Foss here. He's not a threat on general classification, and I don't think he's going to run with Filippo Ganna, but of course, he is the Road World Time Trial X Time Trial Champion from a few years back. So, okay, maybe he can win the individual time trial here. Maybe if he's feeling great. So if he's out there and he makes the decision to go full gas into the line and put himself in the hot seat, which he just did, then maybe he knows more than I do. But if he's not feeling 100% that kind of form that he had when he was the individual time trial world champion, then I say you back off and you save your legs. But that's a decision that Tobias Foss has to make. And right now he's in the hot seat. Not going to stay there for too long, though, because Filippo Ganna is flying, and Tobias Foss got himself in the hot seat for just about a few seconds, but I'm going to rewind the film to the ramp there because Filippo Ganna's leaving the ramp. He was just a little bit behind Tobias Foss on course, but we gotta pick out the pluses and the negatives here from Filippo Ganna's ride, and there's not too many negatives because the Italian rider is flying after he leaves the ramp. We see him come into the first time check, 13 seconds up on everybody as he's flying through that section. He's dicing it and looking beautiful on his bike in the TT position. Then when he starts coming in and catching riders, he's getting a little bit of a draft off all the riders. Don't really like this part. I think the organizer should have separated the time a little bit when you got a double world individual time trial champion, Filippo Ganna track champion, and all kinds of championships that Filippo Ganna has. Plus, he's won stages here at the Giro d'Italia. So they're leaving the riders a little bit too close. And Ganna's, of course, getting some kind of advantage off of the riders that started in front of him, especially the ones that aren't going so hard that he's just flying up on getting that quick little draft and then a quick little shimmy out and back onto the road again. It's going full gas. Comes in the second time check, 59 seconds up on the best time, so you know Ganna is going good. Now Ganna's going to fly through the roundabout, and look how he's going through the right, left, where the roundabout is proper there in the center, then coming back out on the right. And each time when he went to right, left, and right again as he exited the roundabout, he's in the TT bars. Then he comes flying across the line, 126 up for the fastest time of the day. Now let's take a look at Bjerg, who's out on the course too for UAE Team Emirates, and he's going through that same TT, that same roundabout section, not on his TT bars, but on the bullhorns here. But Mikkel Bjerg, he's going full gas on the pedals. You guys have heard me complain many times about Mikkel Bjerg's efforts that he's spending on the individual time trial. There's no reason for it. If you're not going to win the stage, there's just no reason. I know we have the Olympics coming up, but I can back up basically every Grand Tour that I've watched the last 4 seasons that Mikkel Bjerg's in. He's always going 100% in the TT. There's no reason for this. So, of course, I'm going to call him a knucklehead like I have just about every time he's doing an individual time trial in a Grand Tour. And you see, as he went through the roundabout, once he was dropping in the bullhorns, he's not taking it the same kind of speed that Filippo Ganna is, and doesn't have control of his bike like the Italian rider does either. Otherwise, he'd have gone through in the TT position. Mikkel Bjerg will come through and he'll cross the line 28 seconds back from the time of Filippo Ganna. Now, he has a solid placing with third, but he's 28 minute and 28 seconds back on Filippo Ganna. That's a ton of time, and it's a ton of energy wasted. All right, let's get back into the action. Let's see who else is out there. Plapp is out there. He's throwing in some fine times, and he'll come across the finish line 1:18 back on Filippo Ganna to put himself in the second and bump Mikkel Bjerg even further down. Now, we start looking at the next rider, Team Ineos. That's the American rider, Magnus Sheffield. He was flying as he's going through the first time check, 5 seconds behind Filippo Ganna. Then he comes up to the second time check, 39 seconds back on Filippo Ganna. At this moment, the American rider Sheffield, he needs to just back off and save it. You go through the first time check, 5 seconds. You're a young kid. You're here at a Grand Tour. You can get a solid result. I still don't think he should be doing it, but he's a young kid, so let him go. Once you hit 39 seconds back in the second time check, though, the American's got to back off, save some energy. Instead, he's going full gas. Comes out of the left corner there, going hard. It's got a little bit of a descent there. He's going into the right. Loses the front end before he hits the white paint there. The front end slides out. He loses the bike, slides all the way across the street with a little bit of bend. As he comes up to the fencing, doesn't quite hit the fencing, and he hops right back up, gets on his bike, and goes solid still all the way into the line, 1 minute 35 seconds down from his teammate Filippo Ganna. Now, with this time, though, like, why did you do it? What was the risk for hanging it out through the corners when you're already 40 seconds down on Filippo Ganna's time? This was a ridiculous crash. It's going to cost the American a ton of energy in terms of how much he spent today racing, and of course the crash and night sleep and the recovery when we got the big mountain stages coming up. And we got Geraint Thomas, who hasn't even left the ramp yet. Well, we start going into the top 10. It's our Ensman leaving the ramp. As our Ensman leaves the ramp, guys, he's flying. He's got solid times. He rides for Team Ineos, and he's one of the top 5 guys to go top 10 favorites here. Our Ensman's putting on a show out here. Remember that stage 1 when he blew up and his dad posted there to Twitter the nasty things about his trainer? Well, right now his dad's getting excited because our Ensman's still flying on the pedals. He's coming into the first time check, 11 seconds down on Filippo Ganna. He was just in the top 10 Arnsman when this race started here, today stage 14. But now he's flying, and you know he can move himself up. We start looking further back there at the ramp again. We start seeing Einar Rubio leave the ramp. Zana's going to leave the ramp. Fortunato's going to leave the ramp. And Bardet and Einar Rubio, those guys, when they cross the first time check, they're 52 seconds down. They're losing time all over the place, those 3 guys. Zana's coming through at 29 seconds, so he's holding some kind of ground right here, but still losing time when we're talking about our Ensman back there who's in front of them that's flying up the road going through the second time check at 47 seconds back from Ganna. He's got a solid pace. We're going to see our Ensman come through the finish line. He's going to be 107 back of the time there. Filippo Ganna is solid that we know he's going to start moving up in the top 10 for sure. When you know Rubio back there, you know Lorenzo Fortunato and Bardet are having bad times, because when Bardet crosses the line, he's 3 minutes 24 seconds back there at the time of Filippo Ganna, so he's going to drop in the top 10 for sure along with Rubio. Zana's doing an all right job. He's going to hold his position in the top 10, no problem, with his crossing the line 2 minutes and 32 seconds back. So now we start going into the top 5. Okay, the top 5 is going to be Bahrain victorious Tiberi. He's leaving the ramp. Bahrain victorious Tiberi, he's hanging out. Look at him coming by the fencing, the railing fencing there as he's almost brushing the fencing. He's going full gas. He comes into the first time check, 17 seconds down. You know he's flying good. The Italian rider from Bahrain victorious has to put on a show and has to have some pressure here at the individual time trial after his teammates have ridden not 1 but 2 mountainous stages here at the Giro d'Italia for him to protect 6th on general classification, and then the later to protect 5th on general classification after we saw Kian Uterbrooks drop out of the race sick. So Tiberi's doing a fine job of holding his GC position here, flying on the pedals up there to cross the line, 1 minute and 19 seconds back on Filippo Ganna's time. This means he's going to keep his top 5 position. Now, what's happening to the last 4 riders here as they're leaving the ramp? Ben O'Connor's up there. He's doing solid time, coming through the first time check, 15 seconds back. He'll come through the second time check at 1 minute and 1 second back from Filippo Ganna. And then when Ben O'Connor crosses the finish line, he's 125 back on Filippo Ganna. He's going to get himself a top 10 position here at the end of today's stage 14. Okay, the big-time favorites, the 3 podium guys right now, we're talking Geraint Thomas, Danny Martinez, and Tadej Pogačar. Pogačar's walking his bike over to the start line. He's got his director sportif there, Machine. Once he comes into the 10 area there, get a little fist bump to Geraint Thomas. And then once he gives a fist bump, it's time for Geraint Thomas, Team Ineos. Again, one of the top 5 favorites in the top 10 for Ineos ride. As Ineos got a ton of favorites here on stage 14, he leaves the ramp, and the British rider is looking fantastic. Next up to leave the ramp, that's Danny Martinez, second on general classification. So we know if that second last to leave the ramp there is going to be none other than Tadej Pogačar, the Slovenian, in the pink race leader's 2-colored skin suit there. As he leaves the ramp, we got everybody out on course, and we see Geraint Thomas come through the first time check, 11 seconds down on Filippo Ganna's time. That means he's flying, only to be 11 seconds back, so we know Geraint Thomas is going good. What's Danny Martinez back there looking like when he comes through the time check? Well, he's 30 seconds down on G. Thomas. That means we could have a switch up here between second and third, but will we have a switch with Tadej Pogačar as he crosses the first time check? He's 4 seconds up. 4 seconds up on Filippo Ganna's time, and Filippo Ganna's been a minute, 10, minute and 30 seconds up on everybody so far here on stage 14. So you know the Slovenian is flying. Now we start seeing split screens there with Danny Martinez and with Geraint Thomas, where we see Geraint Thomas is solidly up on time there from the Colombian. Once we start coming into the descent, Geraint Thomas comes through this left turn here. You see as he's a little bit more towards the center of the road there, and I'm like, why is he taking it so wide? Maybe it's a little rougher there on the inside corner there for Geraint Thomas, and that's why he's going wide. You see him start the left turn wide. You see him come out really wide on the right side of the road. Then he makes the right bend there. Now, when we start seeing the Slovenian come through this same corner, well, he does what I thought you would have done, and he hits more of the apex as he's going through the rougher part of the road there, but he makes it through clean, no problem. He shoots through it clean, comes out a little bit faster than Geraint Thomas because the Slovenian back there, he's flying as he makes through the next right turn. Now we start looking at the second time splits. It's Geraint Thomas coming through 47 seconds back for third at this second time check. Then we see Danny Martinez come through. He's 1 minute and 20 for 13th. So he's got a solid time, but not going fast as Geraint Thomas. The Slovenian Tadej Pogačar, he comes through the second time check, and he's losing 10 seconds to Ganna. So he's dropped the 4 seconds that he had there in time check 1 plus 10 more seconds. That means he's lost 14 seconds up to this second time check on the Italian rider Filippo Ganna, which means he's most likely not going to win today's stage unless he can pull out a big-time miracle. But as you're sitting there on the Chesterfield, it's Tadej Pogačar. Are you guys really going to give up hope? Well, we start seeing as Geraint Thomas comes through the finish line, 1 minute, 14 seconds for third on the stage at this moment. He's got his teammate in front of him, Martinez, on second, and Filippo Ganna, the Italian rider, his other teammate, sitting first right now in the hot seat. Danny Martinez is flying through the finish. He's coming through a little bit back on the time, 1 minute and 45 seconds to put himself in 13th on the stage. Then Tadej Pogačar is out on the course, the last and final rider here. That's why he's the last, right? Filippo Ganna's got some company. He's got Johnny Milan up there, his Italian friend from Lidl Trek, and they're both in hot, intense, wondering whether or not if Tadej Pogačar can take the race lead away from Filippo Ganna. Well, once he comes into about 500 meters to go, you see the clock change from green to red, and the expression up there from Filippo Ganna and from Johnny Milan is one of elation and celebration right now as Johnny Milan's patting Filippo Ganna on the back. We'll see the Slovenian Tadej Pogačar will come across the line 29 seconds back to put himself second on today's stage 14, but he loses the stage to Filippo Ganna. But all in all, it was a great showing here from Tadej Pogačar because he added time on everybody else of the general classification favorites, and we start tomorrow stage 15 going into the mountains. But you'll see the Slovenian, he went deep after the stage as he went over to warm down on his bike. You see him suffering with the pain face. The reason why you're seeing this though is because of Slovenian Tadej Pogačar, he can't have that spot to warm down like other riders did, like I show you Ben O'Connor here, where Ben O'Connor almost passed out. It looked like he was in the fetal position laying up against the fencing there, but Tadej Pogačar can't do it there because he's going to get crowded by everybody, so he has to go straight over to the warm down tent area for the podium celebration. That's why you see him hurting there when he's getting on his bike to try to warm down. You'll see Filippo Ganna go over there. They'll both congratulate each other as the Slovenian's warming down with his skin suit pulled down to cool off. Then Filippo Ganna is going to go up to the podium and do a celebration here of today's Stage 14 individual time trial, his first victory here of the 2024 season. Congratulations, Filippo Ganna. Fantastic win here, going over 53 kilometers an hour average speed for 31 plus kilometers distance here on today's Stage 14. Remarkable ride up here from the Italian rider Filippo Ganna. Congratulations. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys for Stage 15. The big mountain stage starts tomorrow, so make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you for the Butterfly Effect Stage 15 in the Giro d'Italia.